In a small, bustling town surrounded by rolling green hills and a winding river, there lived an old carpenter named Samuel. Known for his exceptional craftsmanship, Samuel could create anything from sturdy wooden homes to intricate furniture. His work was admired not just for its quality but also for the heart and wisdom he poured into every project. Yet, Samuel had an unusual reputation: he never finished building his bridges. The townsfolk often gossiped about the half-built bridges that extended over the river but stopped short of the opposite bank. They called him Samuel the Unfinished. But Samuel never seemed bothered by their comments. He would simply smile and carry on with his work. One day, a young man named Jacob arrived in the town. Ambitious and full of dreams, Jacob had recently failed in business and sought refuge in the countryside to clear his mind. He'd heard of Samuel's wisdom and decided to visit the carpenter, hoping to find answers to his struggles. Jacob found Samuel sitting under a massive oak tree, carving a wooden bird with slow, deliberate strokes. The old man's hands moved gracefully, as if guided by a higher power. "Mr. Samuel," Jacob began hesitantly, "I've heard stories about you. I've come seeking guidance. My business failed, and I feel lost. How do I rebuild my life?" Samuel chuckled softly. "You've seen those half-built bridges over the river, haven't you?" "Yes," Jacob replied, perplexed. "Why do you leave them unfinished? Doesn't it bother you that they're incomplete?" Samuel gestured for Jacob to sit beside him. "Every bridge has a story, son. And the lesson lies not in its completion but in the journey of building it. Let me share one of those stories with you." Jacob leaned in, intrigued. Years ago, when Samuel was a young apprentice, his mentor gave him his first major task: to build a bridge across the town's widest river. Samuel worked tirelessly, cutting timber, shaping planks, and aligning beams. But as the bridge neared completion, a sudden storm swept through the area, washing away weeks of effort. Frustrated and disheartened, Samuel was ready to give up. His mentor, however, smiled and said, "Samuel, the storm didn't destroy your bridge, it revealed your strength. The value isn't just in reaching the other side, it's in understanding what the river has to teach you." From that day on, Samuel began viewing his work differently. Every plank he laid, every nail he hammered, became an act of reflection. He learned patience, gratitude, and the joy of embracing the process rather than fixating on the result. As Samuel finished his tale, he turned to Jacob. "Do you see now? Your failed business is just a storm. It washed away what wasn't meant to last, but it also gave you the chance to start again with greater wisdom." Jacob nodded thoughtfully, though the full meaning of Samuel's words hadn't yet sunk in. Weeks turned into months, and Jacob decided to stay in the town. He began working alongside Samuel, hoping to uncover the secret to his serenity. Together, they started constructing a new bridge. The work was grueling, and progress was slow. Jacob often grew frustrated. "Why can't we finish this faster?" he would ask. Samuel would smile and reply, "Patience, Jacob. The wood knows its rhythm, and we must respect it." One day, as they worked, Jacob noticed something peculiar. Every time Samuel laid a plank, he paused to inspect it closely, sometimes replacing it entirely. "Why are you so particular?" Jacob asked. Samuel placed a hand on Jacob's shoulder. "This plank may carry the weight of someone's dreams someday. If it's weak, it could shatter, taking those dreams with it. Excellence isn't about speed, it's about integrity." Slowly, Jacob began to understand. He applied this principle to his own life, revisiting his business plans and identifying the places where he'd rushed or cut corners. Over time, he realized that his failure wasn't an end but an opportunity to rebuild with stronger foundations. As the bridge neared completion, Jacob grew excited. He imagined the townsfolk's applause and the pride of seeing their work span the river. But one morning, Jacob arrived at the site to find Samuel dismantling parts of their work. "What are you doing?" Jacob exclaimed, horrified. Samuel's eyes sparkled with mischief and wisdom. "Not every bridge is meant to be crossed, son. Some are meant to teach us when to let go. But we've worked so hard. Doesn't finishing matter?" "Sometimes," Samuel said gently. "But other times, holding on to completion blinds us to new opportunities. Letting go isn't failure, it's creating space for something better." Though it was hard to accept, Jacob eventually came to terms with Samuel's perspective. He realized that his obsession with finishing the bridge mirrored his earlier fixation on achieving success. In both cases, he had overlooked the growth and lessons along the way. Months later, Jacob decided it was time to return to the city. Before leaving, he thanked Samuel for everything he had taught him. "You've shown me that life is full of bridges, some we cross, some we don't. But all of them teach us something valuable." Samuel nodded, his face glowing with quiet pride. "Remember, Jacob, the most important bridge is the one you build within yourself, the bridge between your dreams and your actions, between who you are and who you want to be. Nurture that bridge, and you'll never lose your way." Years later, Jacob rebuilt his business, this time with patience, gratitude, and integrity. He often thought of Samuel and the lessons he had learned in that little town. Whenever life presented challenges, Jacob pictured himself standing on one of Samuel's unfinished bridges, understanding that each plank he laid brought him closer to becoming the person he was meant to be. And so, the tale of the wise carpenter and his unfinished bridges became a source of inspiration, reminding all who heard it that life's true beauty lies not in the destination but in the wisdom we gather along the way.